Despite an extraordinary political honeymoon, Justin Trudeau's sheen has dulled somewhat for many voters in Canada since his election in 2015. That said, Justin Trudeau remains one of Canada's most potent soft power symbols internationally, and he has achieved several firsts as Prime Minister. The Trudeau years so far have been marked by a distinctly outward-looking foreign policy, but it hasn't all been smooth sailing. Trudeau's criticism of Russia's President Vladimir Putin has raised fears that Canada's next general election, to take place next year, is in the crosshairs of Russian-backed hackers. And a public spat with Saudi Arabia highlighted the perils of doing business with a government whose values jar with one's own. In October, Canada became the largest country to date to make the recreational use of cannabis legal. Trudeau also became the first sitting PM to march in gay pride parades and the first PM to appoint equal numbers of women and men to a cabinet. Canada's lauded policies towards refugees also put it in stark contrast to the US and should offer lessons to immigration-weary governments elsewhere around the world too. Canada's soft power credentials have long been among its strongest suits on the world stage. Its flourishing film sector means that the backdrop of the latest blockbuster were likely created here. As for its music industries, Drake, The Weeknd, and pop starlets like Shawn Mendes have ensured that most playlists around the world today have a Canadian influence tucked away somewhere. This year's Winter Olympic Games in South Korea cemented Canada's place as a winter sports powerhouse, and the victories have whetted appetites to bring the events closer to home. Canada's economy may be the second fastest growing in the G7, but a buoyant economy has brought its downsides. Toronto and Vancouver have been particularly badly hit by housing bubbles, sending prices soaring and stocks dwindling. Air travel is another area that needs looking at. Some of the highest airport landing taxes anywhere in the world mean that domestic air travel here is often prohibitively expensive. The media sector in Canada has been hit by diminishing readerships and sinking ad revenues. A slew of local newspapers have closed this year across the country. The government has set up a fund to help struggling outlets, but for many of them, it may well be too little too late. But with an economy on the up and its population growing and diversifying at a pace not seen perhaps for a generation, there is much to feel upbeat about in Canada today. To find out more about where Canada finds itself today, pick up a copy of the November issue of Monocle, which is on all good newsstands now.